Hello LEGO fans, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about part 2 of World War I. Now, last time we left off was when the Germans finally found out that the Russians were finally in the war. So what Germany had to do was they had to split up their team into two groups. The ones fighting on the Western Front and the other ones fighting on the Eastern Front, and the Russian Revolution was also starting in Russia, which meant men were starting to be low on supplies like food, water, and supplies for like their weapons, I guess, like their ammo supply. So imagine what it would be like being a Russian, having almost like nothing. You had only like a rifle, 2 ammo, which is like about 5 bullets, so you have 10 bullets. You have to steal other Germans' weapons in no man's land, trying to get their weapons. Risk your life trying to get to their weapons first, and getting ammo, and coming back. Imagine how hard it felt, and you had to suffer through harsh winter as well, which you're pretty used to in Russia. Now, another thing is that as the British and French were starting to dig their trenches, they started to use more tactical approaches. Instead of having this long stretch of land, this like long stretch of land, they started to have zigzags. So then once artillery fire would fire, it wouldn't just like go straight down to them. It would go straight down to craters, not into their own trenches. The Germans started to do theirs as well, having straight lines, and then on the back they would have zigzags, or kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's kind of like that, I guess. Another thing is that as these Germans and Russians were also going, so back into the Eastern Front, remember, Eastern and Western. Western is like French and British. Eastern is Russia versus Germany. So back at the Eastern Front, this one guy, Rasputin, yes, you probably heard the song, he got shot and killed. Now, that's during like 1917, which we're getting too ahead of ourselves. We're starting in 1915. We already did 1914, now we're in 1915. 1950 was honestly still the war. People were like, oh, this war isn't ending. What should we do about this? But that's when the Germans started to use their own gas. They started to use poison gas to go and, kill people. They started to use that in the Eastern Front, which there was one base that the Germans were going up against the Russians, and the Germans were having too many casualties there. So they used poison gas to kill people who were in their trenches, and this whole base area, once people saw their men dying to gas, they were like, oh, shoot gas, get like a cloth, get something to protect your mouth and your nose. So once the gas has passed, the Germans still had their gas masks on, just trying to, so then there's no like extra gas there inside. So as these people were going, they figured out that all the first line of defense that they were going up against had died, and only a few survivors were left that had to be put out of their misery. Then the second line of defense, which was really hard as the first line, but they did not know what they were going up against, because all of a sudden, people who were going up, they were going upward, like they were, like these Russians, they were coming out of the graves, like they were zombies. I mean, I guess they were zombies, that's why they call it Attack of the Dead then. That's the one battle, because they were attacking actual living but also dead people who can fire, shoot weapons, and kill Germans. And that's all in 1915. So once basically what happened after that was, once 1915 ended, which we still have 16, 17, 18, so 3 more parts. Or 2 more. I was gonna do 2 more. So we're gonna do part 3 as well into this video. Since I don't want to do like 5 parts, we're gonna make this 1917, or no, we went to 1914, there was 1915 and 16, so we'll do 15 and 16 for this one, and then 17, 18 will be part 3. and then we'll go on to World War II, and then we'll go on to the Cold War, and we're just gonna do some natural history that I know of. So, so 1916 has happened, like I said. So there was 1915, 16. So 1916 wasn't really anything special that happened. I mean, there was the Battle of Verdun, which lasted about 2 years, and it started in 1916, ended in 1917. It was against the French, British, and other Allied powers that were in the area of them, and there was also the Germans, the people who were attacking. The Germans successfully took Verdun, but it was a really, really big struggle because they started in a town first. They started in a town, an empty town. Then they had to go across, trying to go into another empty, like, little town area. Then they had to go up a hill, had to go straight to the fortress, which, by the way, was really, really defended well. And with new technology, with machine guns and everything, it was really, really hard to get through. So the Germans started to use their own tactics by using machine guns, actual machine guns to carry instead of just having them in a trench and shooting them. You had like it wasn't really the MP40 yet, but they had the MP18, which was basically a stick mag. It was like a stick, and then there was a circle on the top where you put inside, click, shoot it. It had 32 ammo, as well as this 100 ammo piece, which is a machine gun, and a heavy machine gun actually. And it was supposed to be a supporting weapon, which you would have a support person. They would have a supporting weapon. The supporting weapon was the heavy machine gun. It had 100 ammo. It would take a not really that long of time to reload if you knew the weapon, but if you didn't know the weapon, it would take you a long time. And we don't really need to start on their French weapons, because the French weapon, this heavy machine gun, was horrible. It when you fired it, the bullet, you could see the bullets, so mud would get stuck in there, and it could jam every single time. If you're the lucky few that didn't get their gun jammed, because you would clean it every so often, then at least you weren't these people with guns that had mud in them. That's basically what happened in 1916. Part 3 of World War I will happen, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I need more subscribers. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers by the end of the year, so I really hope we can make that happen. So I'll see you guys in another video. See you guys later.